this is going to be the attempt at my vlogging of my Death Valley trip, and we'll see how this works. This vlog was going to start with just a morning trip to Badwater Basin, do sunrise, first look at the lake, and like all good intentions, it's just trying to get to the lake in time. I really didn't record enough footage. I tried to do a little bit, but just didn't go super great. So we're just going to do a reset and start here. So here it is, Thursday afternoon, and I'm in Death Valley and arrived yesterday from Ohio. And I got my spot in Sunset Campground, essentially a glorified parking lot, but it's nice and easy in and out. And we'll probably do a video on my camping arrangements and stuff like that, but I'm essentially sleeping in the car, so it works out well. And I'm here one more night before I go over to Lone Pine, spend some time over Alabama Hills area, and then back to Death Valley for another day and a half to wrap up the trip. So anyways, with that said, we're going to try to vlog this. We'll see what happens. Maybe parts will get cut, whatever. It is early afternoon, and I'm going to go head over to Desolation Canyon. Visited Death Valley before, but I've never been to Desolation Canyon. Sounded sort of interesting. The light at this time of day is a little harsh, a little bright, so I'm sort of hoping maybe inside the canyon, depending on what type of canyon it is, might give me some possibilities on that front. And then I got to figure out my sunset spot. I sort of want to go to 20 Mule, but it's a little bit of a hike in because I got the road closed right now. So not 100% sure I'll do that today. I might just do the Artist Palettes loop. I've not done that one at sunset. I've only done it sort of awkward times of the day, really. So I might try to hit that at sunset and see how that goes. But yeah, I think that's it. We're going to take off out of here and drive over to Desolation Canyon. And I'm not going to do the full hike, but I just want to get up there a little bit. Hopefully I reach the part where the canyon starts to get a little bit interesting, and we'll see how it goes. So follow along. Okay, so here we are on our way up Desolation Canyon. It's approaching midday, a little past midday, but the sun's low in the sky just because of the wintertime thing and all. And that's one of the reasons I chose this canyon was, one, fewer crowds. Gold Canyon down the street gets a lot more. But we're gonna get up in here, and I'm hoping sun, by the time I get up there, will dip just a little bit more, get me some maybe reflected light, or at least some stuff that's in the shade, not in the direct harsh sun, and we'll play with that. Nothing else lets me scout out this canyon to see if it's worth a future visit if there's a better way to time the light. Fewer crowds here, that's good. It's not quite as popular as the one down the way, Gold Canyon. So we're gonna continue on up and see what we find. Just wide open expanses of just nothing. So what makes this place so cool, because it's not really just, I mean, it's like nothing, but then all sorts of interesting things to look at, if that makes sense. Like there's no life except those two ravens that did fly by me. But it's just rocks and wash. You can see this was probably affected by the floods that came through last fall, I believe, like August, late summer. See that, because this is all pretty smoothed out, like a wash should come through. So, but it's just interesting colors of rocks, like that black rock against the beige. Just really awesome. So we're working our way up the wash. I see why it's called Desolation. It's just like empty. It's so amazing. I don't know. I love the desert. And this is just like desert on a new level. Just new harshness and almost alien-like terrain. But anyways, we got some rocks up this way that are super cool. I think they'd be pretty fun to photograph if the sun was a little lower in the sky, because they're just so dark and they would contrast against that back wall, a little bit of a V coming in. Pretty cool. Switch you around so you can see it. Hopefully you can see it. I can't see my screen because it's so bright. Yeah, move on up. This is the wash we're heading up right here. gets steeper up in there, and that's what I'm looking for. This harsher light. If you can get inside some canyons and stuff, you can maybe find some conditions that work out, because it'll provide some shade, bounce some light off the walls. Don't know if it's going to happen in this canyon, but that's what I'm looking for. Let's switch you around. Man, this is just, I mean, this wall of stuff over here, all just formed by water. I wonder what it looked like during the floods, which the water was just churning down through there. Impressive stuff. Okay, I'm gonna keep walking. No elevation to deal with here, because we're, you know, near the lowest point in North America. So at least my Ohio lungs work here. Can't really blame any hiking difficulties on that. At least not at this particular spot. So off we go. Okay, I think we're coming up to a fork in the canyon here. I think I read this. Like I said, I did look at the National Park website on this. I want to say it said go to the right at the fork. Now look at footprints. Man, that's nice and tight though. Yeah, I think we can stick to the right. Looks like that might dead end back there. Might explore it on the way out. See, now we're into the shade, and you can get some of those colors up there, similar like artist palette. So we're not far from there. It's just down the road a little more. Yeah, nice. Okay, just gonna work our way up, ready to start exploring, looking for things that look cool on the way down. Like I said, I believe this hits a dry fall, 8-foot scramble, I think is what it said, and probably not gonna do that solo. I'm scramble up a lot. It's the coming down that speaks to me, especially with the camera bag. So cool, check this out. Yeah, there's some artist palette colors up there on that wall to the left. Such a crazy place. Salt deposits, different colored minerals and rock. All just sitting here covered. So all this covered in mud from the floods. So I bet you some of these walls would be even brighter if it hadn't been for the flash floods that came through here. I bet you the water was roaring through here though. Okay, put you down, I drink some water. Man, this whole thing just narrowed up. S current corner. This is almost what my buddies were looking for last time we were out. We were looking for narrower canyons. Now, admittedly, we found some narrower than this, but it's nice. Oh yeah, nice little corner. So this is the first dry waterfall, only about 8 feet, and it looks like a pretty easy clamber up, but I get nervous with a big camera bag on the way down, pretty far out here with no cell service to twist an ankle. So we are going to stop here. But as you saw, we just came through a whole lot of little slot canyons. So I'm going to work my way back slowly and see if I can find a scene to compose, some layers, some light coming in, and we'll sort of play with that on the way back down through this narrow section of the canyon and see what I can get. We'll probably play a little bit with a 24-120 maybe, just to get some very deliberate scenes. Then we'll probably get a wide angle on some of the narrower spots, see how it works. But let's get a couple shots, work our way out of here, and see. Okay, so I just came down around the corner and we've got this canyon, turns up that way, and what I'm going for here is some of the layers on it. Got an angle coming down here, a little bit down here, and then the front rocks are darker compared to the back, and I hope it's a little bit of contrast, a little bit of layers. Probably gonna start with a 24-120 to play with this. I think that'll be good. So we're gonna set it up real quick and just sort of shoot up in this way and try to get right in here with it and see if we can get a little bit of compression just to make those layers accentuated a little bit more. And we'll see what that does and play with it. So just use my phone a little bit to sort of scope it out, see what I like. I almost like the portrait version better. We'll see. Let's get the tripod. Okay, I did a portrait style. It was okay. Switched over to landscape orientation and just shooting in this canyon. And I'm trying to frame it up so I get not much of the sky, because it's a sort of a blue sky now, but there's a couple little triangles coming down. Comes down this way, this way, this way, this way, and just trying to get that. And we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to do one of these shots at f11 with hope that I don't have to focus stack this, but for a safety shot, because when I've traveled this far, I want to make sure I have my safety shot, I am going to focus stack one too. So I'm going to do an f11 and do it, and I'm going to change to like an f8 and then focus stack in probably 3 or 4 shots just to make sure if I need to, I can blend some stuff together. Now I put my hand in front of the camera, that marks the start of my focus stack. I'm going to tap my way through. So I've got touchscreen autofocus and shutter on, so I can tap at the point closest to me, tap partway into the scene. I'm going overkill here, so I'm going to tap about 2/3 of the way into the scene. And then one at the very top. So 4 shots for this focus stack if I need it. Fingers just to mark the end of the focus stack. Just makes it so much easier when I get home and have all these pictures look through to know images between 2 hands are focus stack images. So I'm going to play around here a little bit more. I'm going to turn you off just while I do that, just to see if I've been able to catch this composition. The sky's pretty blue. There's no clouds, but maybe I'll try to get a little sky in there. Maybe it'll add just that little bit of extra oomph to it. So I'm just going to play, and then I'll join you when I finish playing right at this spot. I think I got another spot on the way out too that will do something similar and see if I can pull some layers together. Gets just a little narrower. That's where the wide angle might be more fun. So we'll see. Okay, so I didn't really get the narrow piece that I wanted back this way. It just, I don't know, it just wasn't quite what I wanted. But on my way out, you can see the canyon sort of winds up through here and there's a little bit of a snake pattern. And one of the mountains in the mountain range over there is off in the, obviously off in the distance and sitting up. And I think if I twist over this way, it's a little bit, I can sort of get it lined up with this canyon and get this. Now, this would probably be an amazing sunset photo, but you'd really have, this would be the only shot. And if it didn't pan out, then you were sort of out of luck. Could be a decent sunset tonight. There's just enough high clouds and stuff that could be good, but I'm not going to save this for sunset. I'm going to shoot this now, and then I can study it at home. I'll drop a pin on this just for the future. If I'm ever out here for a more extended period of time, this could be a potential spot I would shoot up into for sunset, because I think if the clouds cooperate, the mountain, and the way this the canyon comes down and sort of swoops down through, it could be a pretty interesting shot. But I'm going to shoot it midday, and we'll see what we get. I think it could be interesting. Even then, a little crop the sky out, and I think it could get some nice layers. So we're going to take that shot real quick and then go from there. And we are going to focus stack this. So we're going to put the fingers there. This is going to start my bracket. I'm going to bring my focus point all the way down in the foreground. And we're just going to tap. It'll autofocus, shutter click, move on. About 1/3 of the way into the scene. 2/3 of the way into the scene. And the mountains in the back. Again, these are more safety shots, just because I don't get out here all that often. I sort of want to make sure I have plenty of files to work with when I get them home. So that's the biggest reason. So then we end with fingers in front. So, and now I'm going to move a little further forward. I think I'm going to stick with 24-120. We're going to move forward about, 50 yards and do this other shot, a little less sky, more focused on there's a layer coming in this way, this way, this way, and this way, and just see if we can get them to stack up, get a little compression on there. Hopefully there's enough light difference that makes it interesting. We'll see. So I'm going to move up that way. Okay, changed my mind. When I got up there, I think the 100 400 is what I want, because I really just want these layers up there, and the 24 to 120 is just not quite enough for it. So we're gonna carry this stuff up there, swap on the 100 400, try to compress this, see what happens. Okay, I swapped in the 100 to 400 here. I went portrait. I set it up first with landscape, and it wasn't quite right, because I want a little bit of this leading into it. And this is one of those cases where my eyes see something a little more interesting than camera's doing. I don't think there's quite enough differences in light on these ridges that I'm seeing back here. So, we'll see. I'm gonna take the shot. This could be one of those cases where just a little bit of dodging and burning would make it a little more interesting or something. So we'll take it, so I have it, but it's not quite what I envisioned. And yeah, gonna have to focus stack it with this kind of zoom. So fingers in front. Start at the very base of the image. You guys can repeat with me, about 1/3 of the way into the image. 2/3 into the image. And up at the top. Whoops, hit a menu. And up at the top. Oops, I keep hitting my info button instead. Cool. So yeah, so not quite what I had in mind, but I took it. You never know, a little bit editing, something like that. Better safe than sorry to have it. But I think the contrast isn't there. Just watched a video by Todd Dominy, who was coincident enough, not too far. He was actually where I'm going to be tomorrow, out Lone Pine, Alabama Hills area. And he talked about how tonal contrast is, if you can't get that tonal contrast in it, it just doesn't work right. And I think that's what's going on here, is my eyes sort of see it, and I can sort of make the differences, but the sensor in the camera, the way the camera 2D, just, I'm not getting the tonal contrast I want. So it'll be an image to play with, but it didn't turn out the way I thought. Okay, so I'm hiking back out of the canyon. I actually did a little bit of handheld work on the way out with the 100 to 400. So I stopped and took a picture of a few things. We'll see how it turns out. But one of the cool things about shooting handheld is your flow can be a little faster. With the tripod, you have to get it set up. And, you know, once it's set up, I don't know, it makes you lazy and you don't want to move it. So I just walked out with the 100 to 400 and just kept an eye out. Canyon walls, look for things in walls, look for layers, look for shapes. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I got something, a shot or two that were interesting, but it sort of lets you, at least in my opinion, because the tripod's not involved, lets you take more shots than you might otherwise. So it sort of lets you play and experiment, I guess is the better word for it. It lets you experiment with what works and what doesn't much faster than with the tripod. So we'll see how it goes. And I'm gonna finish this hike out of here. I will check back in when we're at the car. If I see something interesting on the way out, might take a shot, but we're gonna be walking in the bright sun here in a minute. When I get back to the car, we'll check in, let you know where I'm going next. Pretty sure I know what spot I want to hit. Haven't done it that time of day before, so I think it could be interesting. But we'll do a time check, snack check, and go from there. So I'll see you at the car. Almost forgot to check in. Made it back to the car, obviously, and I'm going to go head over to Artist Drive, which I've been around a couple times, but I've never really been there late afternoon, sunset time. Got some clouds building in the west. A lot of haze too, so we'll see what that does. But I'm gonna head over there. There's a certain spot, takes a little bit of a clamber to get to look at Artist Palette, but I think it'll put me high enough too in case the sunset and the clouds burst, is that the right word? Light up. So I'm gonna drive over there. I'm gonna put you down while I do that, just because I'm gonna eat and drink some water, get hydrated again here, and try to find my spot over there. And we'll check in once I get unloaded and set up. Later. Okay, I just scouted out the spot I want to go to, and I'm not sure if the flood's changed the way to get there or not, but it's going to take a little bit of navigation. I think I've still got time to get over there, but it is crazy, crazy, crazy windy. That's why I don't have my hat on anymore, and the audio, even with a mic, there's just no way it's going to pull off any good. So I'm going to bring the Action 4, and we'll try to make a recording. Maybe I can clean up the noise. But as far as the video part, this may not work. Again, we're at Artist Palette, and what I'm hoping for is the sun comes down a little bit, get some nice light on the palette piece over there, and get that going. So I got to navigate my way down, so I'm going to pack you away. I'll try to check in over there, but it's probably going to be really hard to hear me. But hopefully I'll get to show you a couple shots from this, and then like I said, that'll pretty much take us to sundown, and I'll head back to camp and get organized and figure out what I'm doing. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, whew, it was crazy windy up there. Brief little break as I come down into this little drainage, and I gotta work my way back up the other side, because that gets me on a ridge where I can photograph the artist's palette, which is how I like. There's a lot of people there. It gives me some options to work with because I have more room to move around, and still get some interesting shots. So now I gotta figure out the clamber up. If I remember last time, it was pretty steep, a little loose, but should be doable. I don't think anyone fell last time, so that's good. So across this drainage, and let's flip you around. Just a pretty amazing place. Just it's so hard to describe. Okay, up we go. Okay, I dropped my camera back up there. That's where I'm going to set up. I wanted to come down here. The wind's still going to be a little blowing, zips around, but where I'm at, I can sort of shoot in, get a nice little vantage point, a little higher. Don't have to work around all the people that are over at the main overlook. Now, there's still people out in the artist palette on various trails and stuff. Just have to work around them. Got the 24-120 on. We're going to start with that. Hoping I don't have to switch just because of the wind and the dust and all that stuff. But I'm hoping I made the right choice. I put it on in the car, and hopefully it's the right focal length, because then I can get the wide when there's no wind in it and zoom in to 120 when I want to. So I'm going to get set up, and I'm going to sit up there, just wait for the light. I would say we probably got, I don't know, 25 minutes before it starts getting good, maybe. We'll see. The mountains are going to block it, so maybe more like 20 minutes. So I got to get up there. So, like I said, may not be a lot of video, because I'm sure this is going to be a pain to clean up. There's probably lots of wind noise even now, so I'm going to get up there. Okay, I don't even know if you'll be able to hear this, but one of the things that I am doing is I got my tripod down super low, and I'm shooting a ISO 400 so I can keep that shutter speed up, because even the wind's coming across and hitting the camera, and there's going to be shake, so I need faster shutter speeds than I would normally do at this time of day to do that. So that's how I'm trying to counteract that wind. We'll see if it works out. A little bit of experimentation and go from there. But anyways, I'm shooting ISO 400 f8, 1/640th of a second right now. 24 to 200 seems pretty good. I'm got a composition now at around 60 millimeters. Wide, plenty enough, and it seems like I'm able to zoom in good enough with 120 to at least put together what I want. Not so I don't have to swap lenses. So I'm gonna work through some shots. Probably another 10-15 minutes, and we'll start to get some really interesting light. Hopefully, we'll find out. Okay, I think I got what I wanted here. I'm about to head back to the car. I'll be keeping an eye on the light as I go, but I sort of got some shots here. I thought it looked better as the sun was hitting certain parts of it, but things worked out. We'll see what I got when I get home and get the photos edited. Over this way, things got real interesting as well. Just nice layers, and then there's this probably salt sand blowing through the basin down there, giving it just an extra layer, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to wrap up here. I think I got what I wanted, and probably start the hike back. Okay, so I got back to the car and I actually headed off, and I came around the corner and some awesome clouds were in the sky. So I parked at the side of the road, scrambled up this hill over here, and hopefully got some decent little sunset pictures. A couple of the clouds just sort of popped there at the last minute. So yeah, it actually might actually have some sunsetty type pictures. Now, it was opposite of the sun, so that's awesome. Just a reminder, don't always be looking straight to the sun. Sometimes behind you is where it's at. So super glad to have spotted that. Like I said, scrambled up this little hill over here and went up there and was able to get a couple cool pictures, I think. So that's going to wrap it up for this evening. I'm going to head back to camp, figure out how to charge my stuff, and clean up a little bit and prep the bed and the car, and that'll call it tonight. I am planning on probably doing a sunrise photo session tomorrow morning. Still trying to decide location. I've got to drive over to Lone Pine tomorrow afternoon, actually tomorrow late morning. So I'm just trying to decide if I'm going to do Badwater again or Zabriskie or what. So we'll find out in the morning. Like I said, I'll bring you along with me for a sunrise photo. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, here it is, really early in the morning, and the wind blew pretty strong most of the night, all night. The whole area just looks sand blown, lots of haze in the air. But you only get out here, for me, probably about once a year. So I'm gonna go on and head over. I decided I am gonna go back to Badwater Basin again. Not the exact same area, but I want slightly higher perspective instead of going right down by the water, just to see what I can get. Plus, that'll let me shelter in the car if the wind is really crazy, which it very well could be. So I am going to go ahead and make that drive, and then I'll check back in when we get there with the blowing conditions and stuff. Just want to focus on the driving, and we'll check in when we get to where I'm at and see if this all works out. Not sure how it's gonna go just because of the wind, but we'll see later. Okay, we're taking a little bit of the wimpy way out. I got out, I'm sort of pulled off to the road here. I'll grab some video of that, but pulled off to the side of the road, and I sort of got this straight on look at Telescope Peak, and it's gonna be sort of a grand landscape. I'm not 100% sure I'm happy with it. I'm gonna try to get the layers of where the salt is in the plain in front of me, and then a stretch of brown, and then Lake Manly is off in the distance. And because of all the wind, the lake out there is not going to be very smooth, so that's why I really wasn't super concerned about the reflections today. Yesterday I was a little interested in reflections. The water is much smoother. You can actually see the ripples in the lake from here. Anyways, I'm going to work this shot here, but because of the wind, I'm sheltering in the car. Right, actually shoot this from the car. I've got a pretty great pull-off spot for it. And I'll keep an eye on the light around me, but the focus is going to be Telescope Peak out there across the basin. We'll see how it unfolds. It's not quite as hazy as I thought it was going to be, so it could be sort of interesting. So I'm going to get busy here and get some photos. Okay, we've got the sun starting to hit the top of the peak, and that's what's sort of cool about this spot is the sun's rising behind us and shining on the mountains off to the west. So you get to see the light slowly start to come down over the mountains. Now there's not a lot of clouds this morning, it's really just the wind, so there's some haze, not as much as I thought there would be. But yeah, we're gonna get some shots here and we'll play with that. I also fitted up the 100-400 here just so I can sort of pick out some cool details. One of the advantages of running with two cameras is I can sort of move around quickly. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll get some pictures and go from there. Okay, there's also this really cool cloud hanging over these sort of two peaks further down in the range this way, so I'm trying to grab that. This is why I had the 100-400 out. Makes it much easier to zoom in. With that said, as soon as you hang your head out the car here, the wind it's pretty brutal today. Sort of glad I'm heading over to Lone Pine later this morning, because it would be tough to shoot out here. I'd do it because you know how often you get out here, but I'd certainly be seeking the shelter of canyons and stuff like that today. Either way, I'm heading to another spot for the weekend before I come back through. So I think it's supposed to be even worse tomorrow, which isn't actually great for my weather tomorrow in Lone Pine, but Yeah, so I'm gonna play with this shot a little bit. Like I said, trying to make sure I capture it all. There's some layers because you got these salt flats, and then you got the water, and then you've got sort of the brown where the water's been through, but the salt hasn't stuck around. So lots of layers, interesting stuff. Whew, that wind, it's brutal. It is tough. It's blowing the car around. Even when that sun starts to come through and heat things up, I bet you it gets even crazier, which is what the forecast is for. Yeah, I'm actually finding the cloud formations down there a little more interesting. The mountains here are cool, and the light's cool, but there's no clouds, just the sky's just blue behind them. So it'll be an interesting picture. Well, it'll be an okay picture. I'll be glad I have it, just because you know how often you get out here. But I think those clouds down there are potentially going to be the better picture, just because it's, I don't know, more visually interesting. The layers as we go, clouds over. Yeah, I think I like that better. Okay, gonna pause you for a bit. Just watch how the conditions unfold when the light comes down, and then we'll check in, sort of wrap up. That'll probably wrap up the vlogging aspect. That was yesterday's adventures, yesterday afternoons through evening's adventures, this morning's adventures, and I feel pretty good about that. Okay, so I think that wraps it up. It's crazy windy out here already this morning. I got the pictures I wanted. There's not a lot of clouds in the sky, so the light on the mountains is already getting sort of harsh. So we're going to sort of wrap it up. It's been a great trip out here. Got to hit lots of spots yesterday. I'm going to go back to the campsite because I've still got it for a little while longer, and sort of organize the car, take advantage of the trash dumpsters over there to get some stuff out of here. Organize my charging so that on the slightly longer drive over to Lone Pine, I'm getting some power banks and devices charged, make sure I'm getting things charged like that, because I'm still going to be away from power for a while. And I think that's it. So if you enjoyed this vlog, like I said, I'm still learning to get better at it, learning my techniques, learning the whole vlogging thing. It's very difficult to try to balance the still photography with the vlogging when the vlogging's not 100% natural. So still working on it. Hopefully each vlog improves a little bit, gets a little more interesting. Either way, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see future landscape photography content from me, including tips, tricks, behind the scenes, mini gear reviews, more vlogs like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And thank you for watching.